Surprisingly, I was actually interested in what
So
you were saying.
what we'll do now is what we'll do now. Hi everybody, I'm Michael. I'm here with Bonnie, my client, who also just happens to be my favorite little sister, my baby sister. And today we're going to talk about bougainvilleas and how you can best grow them in your yard. So, ready to dig in? Let's grow! So Bonnie, you ready to talk about bougainvilleas?
Sure.
Okay, bougainvilleas are native to Brazil. They're tropical vines and or shrubs, and we'll go into that in a little bit. And they're amazing. They are known for basically these wonderful, wonderful showy bracts. The flower actually is inconspicuous. These actually, and we'll show you these up close, these cute little white trumpet buddies here are the flowers. And then these bracts are very, very showy depending on the type of bougainvillea you have. So we'll go over some of these right now for you. This amazing one is a vine type. This one is called California Gold. Like you're going to California for the gold rush. Here's an old one. Pull that off. And it's a beautiful, beautiful yellow, like a dark yellow. There's other varieties out there, but it's a spectacular bougainvillea. We actually had this one when we owned our Miami Shores home. We had it on our west-facing fence. We had a whole bunch of bougainvilleas growing together. And this one is definitely a vine type that wants to get tall and over other ones. Now, to my right and to your left are two thornless varieties. Bonnie wasn't sure. She says, I'm a little bit afraid of these bougainvilleas because they've got a lot of thorns. Well, there's actually some thornless types. This one here, no thorns. This is called Silhouette. Has these beautiful lilac, would you say? Lilac?
Yeah, lavender.
Lavender, what a great word. Lavender flowers, bracts, and it's more of a shrub type. So this one you can use in shrub plantings around your home. And to your left over here is another one called Miss Alice. This is Miss Alice here. She is also a thornless type of bougainvillea. And you can see just by the way they're sitting out here, you can see that they're kind of growing outwards more than upright. Now these, of course, the California Gold is growing on a trellis, so they trained her to go that way. But this is the natural characteristic of the vine type. They tend to shoot upright. These others will, the shrub types, these thornless, the Silhouette and the Miss Alice will tend to grow more prostrate, more outreaching. And they're wonderful, wonderful, wonderful plants. And you know I'm a sucker for color. So I'm going on to the next one now, and that is Juanita Hatton. What? Juanita Hatton. Oh, she's a showy one. Now, there's a lot of bougainvilleas that have this similar color, but this is more of a medium to large grower. If you get a James Walker or a Barbara Karst, those are beastly, beautiful, but beastly bougainvilleas. They get easily to 20 feet. We had them growing with our California Gold at our Miami Shores home, and they just got so big. They were actually getting up and close to our power line, so it was probably, we had to trim her more often. But the Juanita Hatton doesn't get as tall as those, but still very, very similar. James Walker and the Barbara Karst have similar colors. They'll say that the James Walker will have more of a reddish purple color, and the Barbara Karst more of a fuchsia. But I see a lot of similarities in both of those varieties, and the same with the Juanita Hatton. And I'm saving the best for last because, come on, right? Okay, no. Let me ask you. No cap. Which is your favorite one of colors?
Favorite?
Yeah, that you like.
The lavender one.
Really?
Because it's thornless.
Okay, say they were all thornless. Have another drink. Say they were all thornless.
Okay. Oh, this is beautiful. I like it's like a tricolor almost on the flower.
Right, she nailed it. So we had this is called Imperial Delight. I don't know if I said that. Did I say that? It's called Imperial Delight, and like Amazing, right? Look at this. And we had the surprise bougainvillea at our home in Miami Shores over our garage. Our garage facing north, and it took a little while for her to get up to get to the sun, but then she just did this profuse flowering. The surprise is very similar to the Imperial Delight because that they will have these white and pink. But the surprise, the name is surprise because when the plant goes through flowering, after it finishes flowering, goes through a new cycle, they'll surprise you. It may come out all white, or it may come out pink and white like this, or it may come out on part of it pink and part of it white. It's just such a wild bougainvillea. But I tend to always liked ours when it was having this pink and white combination. It's just so pretty. I just love this plant so much. And it's a vine type, you know, it does have thorns and you have to be aware of that. And speaking of, if I could go to a story, when we had our James Walker and our California Gold and Barbara Cars, and I can't remember if I had another one in there, but we had them all along our west-facing wall, west-facing fence, chain link fence, and it just grew up there and formed this wonderful hedge. And like I said, you do need to trim it, but they can get very wide, up to like 4 feet easily, and you know you can grow them to 10 or 12 feet and form this wide, dense flowering hedge. One day I was trimming and I was getting tired, and this is a safety tip. When you're tired, stop with the pruning, stop with the lawn maintenance, take some water in, get out of the heat. Well, I said, oh, I only have one more branch of the bougainvillea to trim. Now on these vine types, especially in the James Walker and the Barbara Cars, and we'll show you some close-ups of those, they will send out these long spikes of growth, and they'll come out at different angles on the plant. And the plants are very efficient. They're looking for sun, and one shot straight up to the moon, straight up to the sun, right? And I'm going there, and I had some bougainvillea already trimmed. I had one more to get, but it was on top of it's on top of the hedge, and I hit it, and I get it, but my hand slipped on the thing, and I grabbed the loppers, but it timbers, and it had a thorn about 7 feet long, and the thorn went down, and it stuck in my head, and so I basically removed the branch by just walking away because it impaled me, and it hurt for weeks. So you've got to be very careful with these, especially on those aggressive growers. So you know, what is it? Every rose or every thorn bush has a rose, or what's that phrase? I don't know what that phrase. I forget it. But you know, for every thorn there's a rose, and so you just have to know to live with them and to be aware of them. You can try to trim off some of the lower branches to keep the thorns at bay, but they do. These are very robust growers, all of them, and they will grow out some more. You know, sans these thornless here, more spines and spikes as they grow out and fill up in your yard. Now, for bougainvilleas, to keep them flowering, we'll go into plant care in a minute, but to keep them flowering, you want to trim after they're done flowering, trim the new growth, because bougainvilleas flower only on new growth. So they're not going to necessarily flower down here, but it's flowering here. When a new shoot comes out, it'll send out new flowers and bracts. So if you want to encourage your plant to bloom, you can trim after flowering, or when you're starting to see them wither a little bit, and you find a part of it's growing too close to something you don't want. Trim it back there, and then when the new growth comes out, it'll start flowering. Just want to stress that these are wonderful additions for your South Florida garden. You just need to know, it's always about the right plant and the right place. So what we'll do now is we'll rotate into plant care and give you instructions on how you can take care of your bougainvillea. So let's go on to that step. On plant care, your bougainvilleas want to be in full sun. They'll do their best blooming when they're in full sun. They can handle some part sun and still flower for you, but they do best in full sun, all types. So that's the main thing you want to know about when you're looking to put a bougainvillea in your yard. You also have to be aware of, like I mentioned earlier, on thorns. The vine types, almost all of them have thorns. I don't think there is one that I know of that is thornless. You can kind of get these guys, the silhouette and the Miss Alice, to grow up in the trellis or a espalier, but mostly these others are going to have thorns. So you need to be aware of that. So you put them in the right plant in the right place. For soil type, these want to dry out between watering. So you want to have a nice cactus mix, and we're going to go into written care instructions in a minute. But you want to mix. You want to have your soil to be well drained, but you also want to add some additives into the planting pit, and you want those additives to be 70% cactus mix, 20% perlite, 10% worm castings. That's going to get you to your 100%, and the worm casting is going to add a little bit of nutrient because the cactus mix is very will drain very well. But you want to have a little bit of nutrients in there for these, and worm castings are great for giving the plants a little bit of soil type that they need to grow. We also recommend putting in that planting pit for your bougainvilleas to put in a mycorrhizal soil additive, and we like the Bigfoot brand, and that helps create a wonderful soil profile for your plants and roots to harmonize in the soil below, and we like to recommend that for these plants. Now on watering, this is where in South Florida it gets a little tricky. In our summers, we're here in April now, but in the summer, and by the way, bougainvilleas will tend to want to flower. I didn't mention that in plant character. Sorry, but I'll get to it now. They want to flower mostly around when it starts to get dry, like in our winters and our spring. And you'll see them flowering like crazy right now because we've had a little bit of a dry spell here in April, and so they'll flower and even well into the summer months as well. But when we start getting our heavy summer rains, they're going to tend to sending out a lot of new growth, and yes, they'll flower on new growth, but they'll spend a lot of their energy just getting bigger. So that's one of the things you got to be aware of, is that they don't necessarily want a lot of water. They can handle it, but it's better to be in an environment for them that the water drains away from them, so that you don't get any root rot. So the plant overall wants to be on a little bit of the drier side. So you want to water it well, and then wait to water it again if you're keeping them in a pot or in an area where you're hand watering. They can do fine. I've seen them in so many places where you get your typical home irrigation that waters 3 times a week. These guys will do well, but it's probably better just to put them up a little bit higher, a little bit raised mound, so that they're sitting a little bit higher than the rest of the plants around them, because they do like to have that little bit of dryness. And the bonus of that is that when the plant feels a little stressed or a little bit dry, it somehow encourages these guys to bloom more. So plants are very efficient. When they feel stressed or whatever, they try to reproduce to make more. And so this is probably an evolutionary thing that the plant picked up to survive. So that's a little thing for you just to take away and know. Now on fertilizer, we'll go into written care instructions and tell you about that. You usually want, you could add some bone meal, which is going to have a higher what's it, the center number, potassium and phosphorus. Stop! I'm getting older now. Yes, phosphorus, the center number. That helps. I should know that. That helps these guys bloom more. So you can have bone meal, and we'll give you some other, like I said, we'll go into written care instructions where we'll give you that breakout, so you can incorporate that to help encourage these guys to bloom. You don't really need to do I would just, after your plants are established, you don't even need to fertilize bougainvilleas typically, and you do need to be careful with fertilizer lately because people are getting runoff, and there's some issues with that. But you can add and incorporate them to help your bougainvilleas bloom for you. On temperatures, they love it down here in South Florida. They can grow, now they do best from zones 10A through 11. They can grow in zone 9. That's where our sister is. Well, she's on Bradenton. She's hugging the coast there, so that she's going to be a little bit warmer. And bougainvilleas can do well. It's just that when you get a hard frost, it may kill these to the ground. No, I'm sorry, you get a light frost, it may kill these to the ground, but they'll come back. A hard frost, though, it's going to kill them. It's going to kill them. They're not going to do it. These are tropical plants, so you have to be aware of that they don't want to grow. You can grow them in 9. You probably want to keep them in a large pot and then bring them in if you get a back cold front, or cover them if you have them growing in your yard. For pests, not many pests. We haven't had any in any of the bougainvilleas that we've grown. They do have your terrible cast of characters of all plants, mealybugs, thrips, scale, aphids, but bougainvilleas are pretty hardy in that regard. They don't tend to have a problem with that. Temperatures, when I mentioned that about the zones, they'll do fine from scalding to the 50s, no problem. It's just that you don't want them to get down to freezing. So I don't know if you have any questions. I think I touched
do.
base.
Where do you find all the soil additives? Is that just like in a normal nursery?
So you can get a lot of that, and we'll go. Thank you. That's a very good question. You can. We like the Miracle Grow brand, and there's Cactus Mix that has that. Miracle Grow also has perlite. The Bigfoot is a brand that you can pick up off Amazon, and that's the mycorrhizal bioactives that help the plant's roots do well. We have, by the way, thank you for that. Give me a sidebar on installing your plant. We talk about the planting pit. If these are 3 gallons, you want to probably fill up 3 gallons worth of that mix to add to this. So dig a hole bigger than this. We've done a video here with Bonnie in the past where we've added some plants in. You make the hole a little bit wider, and you can add in, depending on the plant, you add in the soil mixture that we have. So you would add 70% of potting mix. We like Miracle Grow, but there's many others out there that are well. And that's an outdoor potting mix, because we also have an indoor potting mix that we recommend for our house plants. So you want a cactus mix at 70%, then you want to add in the 10% of the worm castings, mix that well, and then add in that 20% perlite, get a real nice loamy mix, and then add that in and around, and then put the mycorrhizal on top of the base of where the pot goes in that planting pit. Put the mycorrhizal right there, and it's only you need a teaspoon of it, and the roots will pick that up, and it'll help improve that soil profile. You don't have to mix it in the soil. You can do that, but we recommend you put it just the teaspoon right there on where this bottom of these roots will hit that planting pit, and off to the races you go. So yeah, that's what we recommend. But like I said, there's many different types of manufacturers that make good products out there for you to use for your garden. You can, and we have. I have planted these in the past without putting in any soil additives to help them. It depends on the soil that you're in. If you have an area of your home that you know that it's already been improved, you can bypass that, because these are very hardy plants in that regard.
They're pet friendly, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Now thorns. So yeah.
So, first-hand knowledge, I'm obviously against any of them with the thorns, just because I've been poked so many. So if you get
You
poked,
weren't impaled like me, like your brother.
you get poked, they stick, and then you can get infected. So just be very careful.
Yeah. So,
I'm stating the facts.
Thank you for that. Really appreciate it. Good to know. Yes, and it's like the right plant in the right place. You obviously don't want this next to a front door with a narrow sidewalk,
right,
where all your friends just rip their arms off
as they come in, and
yes,
it comes around.
You don't typically want agaves, which I've seen in some homes. These very nice homes now.
And then they kind of grab you, and then they attack you. They literally attack. They can attack. Plants attack.
I don't know if this was a good idea.
Plants can attack.
Invite her. It's not Plants versus Zombies or something, or whatever that kids game is. Anyways, okay, we digress.
Yes.
So now, do you have any other valid questions?
No, it was just the soil, because I was actually interested.
That was a great
Surprisingly, I was actually interested.
So,
what you were saying.
What we'll do now is what we'll do now is rotate into written care instructions finally, and we'll show you each one of these up close, and we'll give you the instructions for how you can take care of each of these wonderful bougainvilleas. And then we'll come back and do a quick summary at the end. All right, let's go on to that step. want to thank you for joining us today. But if you have any thoughts or questions, just leave them in the comment section below and we'll make sure we get back to you. And please consider subscribing to our channel. We're working very hard to get you as many garden videos to help you with your South Florida garden. So until the next video,
Have a nice
bye.
day.
I love you.
Love you too.
If you found value in this video, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. We post weekly. Thanks.